What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROC.com. Sign up for my newsletter in the description below and get a free graphic novel from me, which is great. You get to learn about my new releases because I make comic books all the time, and you get to make sure you get all the video updates, which I send out a once-a-week digest. It's not very much. Because YouTube doesn't really always send everything. But this is the Incal. It's by Jodorowsky and Mobius. Jodorowsky is one of the most notorious French writers, and he writes film, super famous guy. And Mobius is probably the most famous French comic artist. He just absolutely beautiful work. This is their science fiction epic, and it really is a giant science fiction epic from like the 70s and 80s. Nice hardcover presentation from Humanoids. They do all of Jodorowsky's work pretty much. I mean, so you can go through and there's this whole universe of this stuff which comes after this. This is the first book though, so I would recommend finding this and starting here before getting into anything else. I've been getting into a lot of Euro comics lately, as you guys probably have been aware. I've been talking about it and then reviewing a bunch on the channel. Love the hardcover presentation here. Makes me very happy, and you get this nice little ribbon bookmark. Those always make me really happy too. Now, I do gotta warn, Europeans do not have the same nudity standards as Americans, so there's a lot of nudity in this book. You have to be very careful about what pages I've turned to. This is actually my third attempt to record this review. I'm getting sick of talking about it. I'm sorry, but I keep turning to bad pages, and it's a problem. Now, it starts out with this guy, and he's got this Incal device, and he's falling, and we're past this on the page I turned to because there's, again, nudity stuff going on that I am aware of, and he ends up being on the run from governments and from rebellions from governments and aliens. The aliens are called the Berg, and they're big beaked creatures. I'll see if I can find them at some point through here, and it gets very bizarre. Everything in here is so bizarre, it's hard to talk about it because honestly, from one page to the next, well, maybe every 5 pages or so, the world that he's in and where he goes and what happens changes so drastically that it just gets crazy every single time. So he's shooting off into space, it looks like here, in some little pod, and he's got some weird talking bird thing that follows him around, and everything's got weird aliens and weird devices going on throughout this entire book. Let's see if this page is going to be safe to turn to. This is a later on scene where he's actually training to fight because he ends up on this mission from the Incal, and the Incal is like this embodiment of power and consciousness, and it's almost like a god. Maybe it is a god. And there's several versions of it. There's the one that he's got, which is and it's like a pyramid shape that keeps on going through here. I'm being very careful about the pages again because I mean there's a lot of nudity pages in here. Sorry to say. And you see the different creatures and different alien landscapes. Cool thing about Mobius's art is just he just really goes all out into just these strange visions. Got a talking dog in here. Very bizarre. And so you get very nice, very detailed different alien scapes and things like that. Different aliens, of course, all the way around. And, he doesn't really repeat himself. You don't really go, oh, that's another version of that. This isn't like a draftsman. This is a true artist coming up with things from his skull. And it's just brilliant. And eventually, this guy, the main character, has to deal with a woman who's got this black Incal, which is like the opposite. It's like a yin-yang sort of situation. And she's been around since the beginning of time. He's apparently been thrust into this since the beginning of time. And it's a very weird situation. It's hard to describe. Really hard to describe this book. And that's a good thing. On the science fiction level, it's just off the scale creative and cool. And they end up going off, and for some reason he ends up needing to impregnate the queen of the Berg to create a new species of human Bergs to deal with this darkness that's seeping through everything and going to destroy all of reality. And he ends up doing that. He is forced into this ritual combat where he has to climb this pyramid to do so. And I'm skipping over a lot. There's just too much to talk about in this book. I would never get through this review, even though it's only 300 pages, which is a little less than a Marvel Epic collection from what you've read. And again, I'm just being very careful as I turn the pages. There's an alien starbase here. that he's supposed to get into, and this is like, it's called, I forget what it's called, like the Dark Star or something like that. And they have to infiltrate it, and all their defenses, when they have to deal with this here. There's a lot of cool politics going on behind the scenes here. There's rebellions, there's aliens, as I mentioned. And everybody needs to work together at the end of this in order to stop the evil. And so the Incal leads them through these crazy plans, but the Incal always does have a good plan at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, they are able to work on and defeat the darkness. Now, the hero's very reluctant. He's very degenerate at the beginning. He loves to frequent whorehouses and things like that, and that's why I'm very careful about turning the pages. And he does end up, falling in love with one lady and kind of, sort of, maybe-ish changing his ways. But there's a lot of, like, destiny and fate here sort of stuff that he doesn't want any part of whatsoever. And it's very interesting watching the other characters like try to force him into doing what's right. And since he's kind of like a simp for her almost, she's always like, okay, we can go off together, but there's one thing I need you to do first. Save the galaxy. And he's like, oh, is that all? It's really funny stuff. So the characters are really cool and dynamic and different. A notable character is a guy called the Meta Baron, who's this like uber assassin who's going to stop him at first, but it turns out he's working for a reason. He ends up on the good guy team. Lots of cool character arcs all the way throughout this, and there's a neat twist at the end that I don't want to spoil for people who want to check this out. So I'm not going to do that. Obviously, there's the good guys go defeat the darkness element to this, and things happen. And again, I'm just making sure we got some safe pages. Look at these cool little rocket ship designs that Mobius does. Everything's awesome in this. It was a very slow read, and it's not a slow read because the pacing is bad or anything like that, but you got some small text through here. It is translated, so you do have to take some time, and because things change so drastically from page to page, you really got to be careful. You can't like just quickly read over this like a lot of American comics. It is really like reading a full graphic novel rather than a comic book at time. I do love the way, I think Mobius really has a nice job drawing women, which I appreciate through this, and it's very cool. So I highly recommend this. This is like a 9 out of 10 by me, and I am looking forward to reading the next one, which is actually a prequel to the story before they get into Final Incal. And they do have hardcovers of all three. I'll be getting those, and I know there's like a whole sequel series called The Meta Barons, and even more to dive into this like a whole big can of worms. So yeah, we'll be just rolling through these Euro comics. I've been really enjoying them. It's such a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of the American stuff I've been seeing, and I'm very happy to cover this because not a lot of other channels do. All right, hit that like and subscribe button, and we will be back soon.